Hi guys, it's Emily from Novel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my January wrap up part 2. Now, obviously the boring stats bits is what's going to be at the start of the video. So if you want to go for, just sort of skip that bit, wait until you see obviously a book appear. I don't know how long it's going to take me to go through the stats. I've used my reading journal, so it's made it a little bit easier. Now, like I said in my wrap-up part 1, I am including audiobooks now and I'm starting to rate them. So they're actually now going to be included in my Goodreads and on my Storygraph. Admittedly, on Goodreads and Storygraph, I haven't worked out a way of putting it as an audiobook that I've listened to it that way. But as Charlie and everyone else has pointed out to me, I've got to stop being silly and not count them. Because it is reading, and it also means I know that I've read the book, whether I've listened to it or read it. But it doesn't come off my unread TBR, and that's fine as well. I think I've got to take a massive chill pill. So, yeah, things have changed since the last video. I stupidly filmed, I think you're going to get my book haul next, and I filmed it way too early, because I then ended up getting quite a few books since I filmed it, which is what's going to, so this month's numbers are lower than next month's numbers are probably going to be, which is stupid, because February is the bloody shortest month of the year. Although we've got an extra day this year, so. But yeah, I'm filming this on the 31st, and I have already had to add 9 add 4, so that's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I've already had to add 17 books to the February TBR. Although I am deducting 5 because I'm doing a tri-chapter. So that's kind of like 12 books added to the unread TBR. But that's still, it's stupid. It's like, how daft am I? Admittedly, 2 of these books are going to get read in February or March. So they're going to get taken off pretty darn quickly. One of them is for a tandem read along, and that's going to get read in February. So it's going on to the TBR, but it will definitely be coming off straight away. And there's another one of those books that's coming off March to TBR because I'm reading it straight away in March. But yeah, I was a bit stupid. Lesson to be learned. Save filming my book hauls until near the end of the month, and maybe pre-film other videos that I can better do. Although I've planned all of February's videos, I just haven't planned March's yet. Anyway, this is a rambling because this video is going to be ridiculously long. I read a total of 34 books. 2 of those were audiobook, 1 of those were off Mia's TBR. So I borrowed one of Mia's books. I'll show you that shortly. So that's 31 books are going off the unread TBR. Like you'll see, because of the way I did the filming, I added 27 books to that TBR, and I unhauled 4 books off of the unread TBR. So January's unread TBR was 317. And February's unread TBR is 308. My goal was to get it down to 300, which should easily be done. But again, this is what's got to take the pressure off. I've got to stop. Admittedly, I've got to stop buying loads of books, and I've got to get that under control. And I was doing really well until. Admittedly, a lot of books I've been gifted, so I'm blaming Charlie and Gemma. They've given me loads of books, so I'm just going to blame them. But yeah, I want to kind of stop buying books, but then I also. Because I don't want to keep dropping my numbers down loads, but I want to kind of get the balance right. Like I said, I do want to get back to the library in April. So that's still my goal. I'm still going back to the library in April. I just need to kind of carve the book buying. Well, for the rest of February, I'm going to be good. February, I have to be good because I know March is going to be a bugger. Mental health wise, my pacemaker charger doodah device is broken, so mentally I'm struggling a little bit. So buying books that's another reason why I've probably been a bit more silly. But I will get back under control. I'll get my control back and I'll sort everything. Fingers crossed. So here's the genre side of it. I've read 1 graphic novel, 1 sci-fi, 1 literary fiction, 1 poetry, 1 thriller, 3 fantasies, 3 classics, 3 non-fictions, and this is where it gets interesting. 9 contemporary, but 11 historical fiction. So historical fiction beat it this month. It's always my job. I'm always intrigued to know which one I read more of, historical fiction or contemporary. This is something I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you guys to write in the comments, do I do a video on contemporary versus historical fiction. So I compare the stats about how many I've kept of each, how many I've read or unread on contemporary, how many of my favourite books in the month of contemporary or historical fiction. Do you want a contemporary versus historical fiction video in March? Because March is my birthday month, so I kind of want to do some videos about the things I love the most. And so I love some video ideas. Do you think I should do things like that? So let me know down below. And now, 5 minutes of stats. Let's show you the books. I had one unrated book this month, which was my Love Poems, which is my oldest book on the TBR. I am going to keep it, and I've just realised the tweet's just gone over there. And I liked some of them. Didn't like some of them. Didn't like the other ones. So it was okay. I think I read it for obviously the prompt of longest book on my TBR, and I found some good books in this. And it'll be intriguing. I think I want some good poems, but I want to kind of. I think now that this has been officially read, it means I can go back and look at the odd poem and read the odd poem here and there. And I want to do that with my Bronte poems. I want to look at the poetry I've got and then just go back and look at the odd one. I'll maybe do that on with my Oscar Wilde plays. I want to start dipping in on the odd play or the odd poem rather than reading a whole book on it, because I don't get as much out of it doing it that way. So yeah, that one's going to get kept. Then to my 2 stars. Obviously, you guys know I rated Robinson Crusoe 2 stars in the first, so I've had 2 stars. The other was The Leviathan by Rosie Andrews. I really am, although I like fantasy witchcraft and fantasy, historical fiction, but yeah, fantasy witchcraft set in the 1640s, like witch hunt books, I'm done with them. I thought I liked them, but I am totally and utterly done with them. This was another book that I tried. I didn't like it. I think I've tried it again several times. I am done with the whole hunting down witches, killing them off. I am done with it. Witch hunt books are bye. I thought I liked dark fiction, but this is not something I can read anymore. So bye. That was quick. 3 stars. 3 stars for me is a book that has good moments, is okay. You know the jam. Midsummer Night's Dream. Yeah, it was all right. I'm really not, sorry Olivia, I'm not a Shakespeare fan. I remember this from when I read it at school. It's good, it's okay, it's just average. I didn't really rate anything with it, but I'm keeping it though, because it's obviously a classic, so that will get kept. Then to the book that let me down. I got sent it when I won it on a giveaway years ago, and I read it with Gaia from Gaia Athena. It was Middle of the Road. This is a beautiful book, and I'm looking forward to my charity shop getting it, because other people might do well of it. I've not liked Elizabeth Gilbert's writing in general. This is not for me. This was very, very middle of the road. It had some bits that were good and some bits that were just okay, but me and Gaia both felt that it was just middle of the road. And considering how long it was, there wasn't many highlights. It wasn't like a book that you could understand. It was written on the narration of it is first person narration, and she's telling her own story to someone else. We don't know who it is that she's telling the story to, but she's telling her story, and it's going from New York in 1940, so just before the World War II hit New York, and it's this young, very glamorous Vivian, and she is very, very self-indulged, very posh, comes from very upbringing, and then she goes to New York to live with her aunt, and she is just very naive, and it's her naivety, and you think it's about her friendship with Celia. That turns out the start of it. But Celia kind of leaves quite early on in the book, and it's about breaking convention, and you've got some LGBTQI plus characters in it, you've got some romances, but it's about a very naive girl, a lot about sex. It does talk about liberation, like how sex can be different things to different people. But yeah, it's just very, very middle of the road. Not for me. Bye-bye. Then to a book that I wasn't sure how I was going to rate it. It was the last book I finished yesterday, and it was Lessons of a Sunday Father. And the Sunday Father in this, I hated. Through most of the book, I wanted to whack him around the head with this book. I wanted to throw the book in the bin. I liked the woman in it. I thought she was okay. The mum in it, she was okay. And she was doing really well. And I really liked her. But the dad in this is a atypical bastard. and it's the affair trope. It's so many things. Very early on, he had an affair / like fling, but he thinks it's okay. He thought it was okay to sleep with this girl, get his action because he wasn't getting it home, and I wanted to kill him. And had he not grown throughout this book, it would have been 2 stars. But he did grow, and things do change, but it took a bloody long time. But I said to my mum, the reason why I think I rated it 3, not lower, was because the passion that I hated him obviously meant that the writer had done a book that was good enough that I could actually feel so much hatred towards him. Because if the writing's bad, you just think meh, like I did with City of Girls. But yeah, I hated him. And I think the kids in this, the daughter in this, I loved her. I love her so much. She was my favourite. So this is like 3, 3.5. And it was really, I can't really decide the rating because I hated the dad. I think the son was a bit of an idiot. You kind of get why he's being it, but you don't. The mum was good, and the daughter was good. And there were some other good characters in this. I'm really not sure. I've rated it 3. Maybe I should have rated it higher. But I'm still not going to keep it. So, bye-bye. Then the next one was a bit triggering. It's Before and Again by Barbara Delinsky. It was 3... Yeah, it was... No, it's 3.5 stars because the writing in this is very good. It does talk about... Very... Straight at the start of this book, our lead character has an accident and her daughter is killed in the accident and someone else is killed. It's a car accident. So that part was triggering alone for me. But... And... It's a good book. It's set in America, very much about, like, it talks about a lot of other issues. There are a lot of issues that get talked about in this book. And about how this lady blames herself for the car crash. It was an accident. There's no way you could have... The more you read it, you really do find it really was an accident. But she blames herself. And then who wouldn't? If you lose your child, that kind of pain is unbelievable. But I did like this book. I did like her ex-husband. I liked some other characters. It was an okay book. Not amazing, but it was okay. Now to my 4-star books, and these were good. I've actually realised I've got to go through these. None of those 3 stars are going to my mum, so I need to put a plug my mum. The next 4-star was one that I added to the TBR halfway through the month, and I bloody loved it. It's my first Laura Kay book, LGBTQI, brilliant book. I don't know why I need to keep saying that, but yeah, sorry about if I've said that wrong. Ali's relationship was over, and she took the cat. I loved this because the cat leads the show in this. The cat, obviously, cats are the best creatures in the world in my eyes. This character, I think the reason why it probably didn't get higher than a 4.5 is because of some of the things with Ellie's relationship that ended. Some of the things that are in that, you kind of think, ooh, it's a bit, yeah. But she starts running, which I loved. She has a great friend. Her and her friend start her childhood friend. They kind of get together. They kind of become friends. And there's no other, like, it's not really, there's a slight romance in this, but it's about friendship, about coming into your own. This girl's relationship with her father is incredible. I love reading about that. I loved the dad in this. I thought it was absolutely awe-inspiring and incredible. And I thought this was a really, really good 4-star book, but it was bloody good 4 stars. I think Mum will like this. I hope she likes it. It's a bit sexy stuff in it at times, but I think it's brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Now, the next one was another one that I read very quickly. I did read it over 2 days, and this is The Auschwitz Violin. It was my shortest book on the TBR, and it's got 2 timelines, 1991, and then obviously Auschwitz, and yeah, story about a violin instead of Auschwitz. Short, but it was good, kind of short. And hearing about what happened in Auschwitz, obviously we know the traumas that went on there, and we know about some of the awful things, but this gives hope, and it's quite a good book. So yeah, for a shorty, it was a really, really good book. Then to my book, obviously you guys know I like my fairy tale retellings, and this is a Little Mermaid retelling. It's not Ursula's story; it's Little Mermaid's story. So it's about Ariel, and Ariel in this didn't get the happy ending. She obviously went back to live in the sea, and Ursula was in land as Vanessa, and it's that retelling, and it's good, but I've read better retellings better of these darker retellings. It wasn't amazing. It was like 4 stars because it was good, and it got better, but the pace in it did take a bit longer to get into, and I didn't like it as much. So it's good, but not as amazing, I think. No, that Mum's not going to want that one. So those ones changed up. Sorry, I'm sort of sorting out my piles. Sounds really rude. And now to my 4.5 stars, and they are brilliant. They're all really good. I'm still debating which ones I'm going to keep and which ones I'm not. The first one was another one I finished yesterday. Like I said, I finished loads. I don't know how. I think I was reading them over 2 days. But this one, again, it's probably because they're shorter books. But this one is The Doctor Will See You Now. And it was written, the end of the book is written at the start of the pandemic. So that part, bear in mind, if you're still triggered by pandemic stuff, then that's it in this. This is a GP story. Now, obviously, I've read all of Adam Kay's books, and he's a hospital one. And I've read hospital ones, and I've read GPs. But this is probably one of the best memoirs I've read, medical memoirs. And I think being a GP made it a little bit more, slightly less triggering. Obviously, a lot happens to GPs, and it did make me think about my own GP. Like, obviously, the medical issues I've had, I think I'm going to go and look for my thank you cards and go and write one to her, because it's made me think about how lucky I am to have her. There are some stuff for me that I found hard. So obviously there is talk about chronic pain in this, but it's dealt with very, very well. I think it's one of the few people that I've listened to describe chronic pain and get it. And I think the GP's actually, the way he treated the patient in this, or the way it was described, was done very, very well. It's very rare that you hear that talked about very well. There is a DVT storyline in it. Again, that I think that was handled very well. Knowing my experience, that was handled. There were other issues that were handled, pandemic. So there were a few things that were close time for me, but there was hope. There was a bit of humour. It didn't feel too dark, but it gave hope. It made me think about what our GPs go through, especially since the pandemic, and especially all the time. We always talk about what the hospital consultants do, and they all have strikes and they fight for better pay. And obviously I've been there. I've been on both sides of it. I've been through my GP a lot, through the hospitals a lot. But GPs do need to get a better rep, and they do need to be given more credit, and I think this is what made me think about that, and I really want to go and thank my GP. So this is good. I want my mum to read that. By the Book is a book by Jasmine Gilroy. This is actually a contemporary, but it's a slight Beauty and the Beast retelling. Book lovers about books. It was brilliant. It was really good. Romance, not too much of the Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it's very, very good about an author and the person who works at a book, works for a publishing company but wants to write. It's just a really good, if you like books about books, if you like pink books, if you like romances, this was really, really good, and I think my mum will love that. The next one is the next one in the Winter Road. Obviously I read The Queer's Queen. This is the second. I've got the third to read, probably March. I'm not going to read March. It'll probably be read April time, maybe. I don't know yet. I'm still deciding. April, May. And this was The Winter Rose, set of winter, pink book, very good. I won't give anything away because it really is a sequel to the first one, but it's about Katie's life in Liverpool and her romance with Jez, and it's Africa, it's World War II. It is obviously hard what happened there, but it is really, really good book. There is some World War elements that are harder, but there are some other issues that have been dealt with in it, but it's very, very good. Mum's gonna love that. Now to my 5 stars. See if you can predict which one of these. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any of them could be favourites, but I'd love to know if you can predict which one of those is my favourite for the second half. First one is The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. It's Kristin Hannah. You know it's going to destroy you. This is very, very hard. Like, if you think Kristin Hannah knows how to destroy you, she will destroy you in this book. It's set at the time just after the Philippines, and it's set in America, and it's set in like Alaska and that area, and it's got a lot about PTSD. It's got a lot of issues in this, and about survival, and there was some, it's Kristin Hannah. You know it's going to destroy you. It's very good. I found even though it's 5 stars, it's not quite as good as like The Nightingale and some of the other ones I've read by her, but it was very good. So it is just, you just have to be aware that it will probably destroy you. I'm going to keep it because I keep all of Kristin Hannah's books. Sorry, I'm not talking about them too much today. I'm in pain, so I'm just want to kind of get this done and get everything sorted. The next one is my Ruth Jones book, which was for the prompt of, I can't even remember, I don't even remember what I've read these as prompts. I'm sorry I was such a crap host of Past and Future this year. Yeah, that's another thing that didn't do any lives, didn't really show my bingo board, didn't do the best. But this was Ruth Jones's latest book. I bought it full price. I think I bought it at Waterstones or a supermarket, but I loved it. I've been really hit and miss with this author. I loved Us Three. Didn't particularly like Nevergreener. This was brilliant. This was as good as Us Three, if not better. and it's one I'm going to keep, which means I've got to find room on my shelves because I've got a lot of pink books that I'm keeping. This is a story about mothers and daughters and the love and the bond, and yeah, it made me think about my relationship with my mum, my daughter, my nan. You think about the generations that go in the female line. Obviously, like, I have different relationships with my daughter and my son, but you can very much tell that the family dynamics, that connection. Me and Mia fight like cat and dog. Not as bad as her and her father, but yeah. And my relationship with my mum has been up and down at times. It's not always a bed of roses. Don't get me wrong, she's my favourite person ever. I'm brought up with one of 4 kids plus the extras. And this book made me remember how lucky I am with my mum. My mum and my relationship at the moment, God, she's just the best. She really is. And you think I'd treasure her. I don't want to ever lose her. I'm dreading ever losing her because, yeah, there are bits in this that really hit me and emotional. And the oldest character in this, Grace, is about to turn 90, and she's got and it goes right down to the her great granddaughter Becca, and it's those 4 generations, the very different relationships, the very different things that happen to them all, how different they are, but the connections that made. And yeah, it's really, really good, really, really good. I thoroughly loved it. Not gonna cry. Then to the next one that was fun, it was my colour wheel pick, and oh my god, I bought this because of Katie from Books and Things. She started me on this series. I've got a whole series to read, 3-book series. I wonder if there'll be another one coming out. Although I know the next Lex Croucher book is another retelling. I think it's another retelling that's coming out. That's her next book that's coming out this year. Their next book, sorry. But this is good. It's Regency, but saucy Regency. And oh my god, it's saucy. It's kind of, I would say, quite LGBTQI, but it's Bridgerton gone bad. Like, it's really it's just so funny. It's Regency, but rebellious Regency. And I loved the characters in this. I loved this book so much. It was just so much fun. And it's about Georgiana Ellers and the Regency romance and her aunt and uncle that she goes to stay with. And I hated her parents, but you're supposed to hate them. It was a thoroughly good book. If you like Bridgerton and you like a bit of naughtiness, and if you like the cheeky side, it brought out the devil in me this side, and I thoroughly loved it. Mum won't read it, but it's one I'm going to keep because I think I could reread it. Now, to a book that I got sent, this is technically an ad PR product because I got sent it to review by Love Book Tours. It's 5 stars. I actually need to, my mum is gonna read this. I'm surprised. Obviously, I get sent these books to review. I used to think that I had to love them. They had to be 5 stars because they were reviewing books. But I found some, like my first one from my other book review from Tandem was 4 stars, but this was 5. And this was 5 because of many reasons. I think the lead character in this is like 52. So obviously he is older than me by a good few years. But Bella McKay I've got a very good review. I think it's quite a good review that I put on Instagram. So please look on there for my good review on it. But she's got like a high-flying, she basically has been her carer for her mum for 10 years. And when her mum dies, she starts to relive her life. But then her plans, she was just hoping just to go back to London, get her life back up and running. But then something happens and she doesn't get to do that. But for me, I think like she's got her brother who's a dick, and I fucking hate her brother, but you're supposed to hate him, I believe. Her mother was an idiot. But her friendships, when she's trying to rebuild her life and she thinks she's going to do one thing and their plans get steamrolled. And I thought that was done really well. It does talk about the menopause in this, so if you don't want to read that, fair enough. But for me, some of the stuff that, because obviously I'm at the early stages, I'm peri at the moment, but there's some bits in this, and the way the author's written it, she actually got it right. She's got it bang on. I think that part of it was handled really well. There were so many things of hope, of our lives taking different turns, and none of us know what's going to happen from day to day. We've got to live from day to day and make the best of it. But this is brilliant. We've got her childhood sweetheart come back to her childhood home to be with his dad, and seeing that element, how her childhood sweetheart comes back into her life, and how is she going to handle that, and how is she going to handle different things. And she starts off quite downtrodden, and the way she kind of grows in this, I thought was bloody brilliant. Very, very, very good book. Really recommend that. It's recently published, and it's one that I'm not just saying that because I got sent it by the publishers, but I thoroughly recommend it. Oh, yeah, I will say this one. This one was a surprise to me. It's 5 stars. It's The Last Bookshop in London. So it's, again, a book about books. Always smashes it. This has a few things that I loved. Books about books, and a lot of books are talked about in this. So maybe want to, The Count of Monte Cristo is actually in this, I think, and it's made me really want to, I can't wait to pick that up. Or is it The Count of Monte Cristo? What is it? Oh God, I think it's The Count of Monte Cristo, but there is a books, and it's set in the last book. It's set in a bookshop in London at the time of the Blitz, at the time of the war, and all the things that happened in the war were bloody hard hitting. We all know that lives got changed. Oh, there is a quote here. Hang on a minute. This is how much it is. Right. Where is it? There's a quote in here. Here we go. With reading, it's like going somewhere without ever taking a train or ship, an unveiling of a new incredible world. It's living a life you weren't born into, and a chance to see everything coloured from someone else's perspective. It's learning without having to face consequences of failures, and how to best to succeed. I think within all of us there's a void, a gap waiting to be filled by something. For me, it's that something is books and their preferred experiences. It's about book lovers, and it's got me wanting so many books. It does talk about other books that I've loved. Yes, there is triggers for the stuff that happened in World War II, but it's a book with hope, and a book with bookshops and London, and the writing's incredible. I picked this up for like 20p, and I think it was on sale in Baz Books, and it's really surprised me how much I love this. I thoroughly recommend it. I think my mum should love it. I've got to try and get her to. And then last but not least is Heartstopper Volume 3. Mia's got Heartstoppers 1 to 4. I've got to read her Volume 4 probably in the next month or two. And then sod it, I'm buying 5 because I want it. Heartstopper, what do you want? Yes, I'd seen the series of this on TV first, so I knew kind of what was going on with it. But it was brilliant. The graphic novel was amazing. Kind of gave me a different perspective on certain things of it. So I really, really enjoyed that. It's Heartstopper. Bound to be amazing. But yeah. Okay, see if you would have guessed what my favourite was. Actually, my favourite in the second half of this. Yeah, obviously Heartstopper's amazing. Reputation's a good series. All of them are good, but this just blew it out of the park. It's one I'm always tempted to make sure it's on my favourites for the year because it would be hard to beat this. This was a really, really good book. And obviously my favourite from the first half was The Closed in Common Orbit. That's a series book. You know what I'm like with series books, but this just blew it out of the park. I need to actually write that on my journal, but it was actually really incredible. So I'll be waiting to see what goes. And, right, if you got to the end of this video, The Last Bookshop in London. So I think bookshelves or books. Just give me a book picture. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a cheeky one. But if you did, yeah, anything book related would be in the emoji in the comments down below. Let me know what your favourite book of the month has been. If there's any of these books that I've made you want to read, let me know. I love talking to you guys in the comment. It really means a lot to me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, not subscribed yet, ring on my ding-a-ling, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.